This episode is brought to you by Prime. What if you had one more chance with the one that got away?
Sam.
You came home.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune. Every Year After follows childhood friends Sam and Percy as they reunite in the dreamy, nostalgic lakeside town of Barry's Bay.
Love can be hard to find. So if you're lucky enough to find that person, never let go.
A second chance at first love. Every Year After, now streaming only on Prime.
Devil's Bridge rises from one of the most dramatic landscapes in Wales. Deep in the hills east of Aberystwyth, where the River Mynach plunges through a narrow gorge before joining the River Rydal. 3 bridges stand one above the other, spanning a chasm filled with mist, rushing water, and the constant roar of waterfalls. It is a place that has attracted visitors for centuries. Some come for the scenery, others come for the history, and many arrive because of a legend that has become one of the most famous pieces of folklore in Wales. Today, the village is known as Devil's Bridge. Its Welsh name, Pontarfynach, means bridge over the Mynach. The setting is spectacular. Steep wooded slopes descend into a rocky gorge, where water crashes through a series of falls before disappearing beneath the bridges overhead. Standing on the viewing paths, it is easy to understand why generations of travellers, artists and writers were drawn here. Long before tourism arrived, however, this was a difficult and dangerous place to cross. The oldest bridge at the site is believed to date from the medieval period. Tradition places its construction in the 12th century, during a time when religious houses were becoming increasingly important across Wales, although the exact origins remain uncertain. The bridge is often associated with the monks of Strata Florida Abbey. For travellers moving between settlements, markets and religious centres, crossing the gorge would have been a necessity. Without a bridge, the steep cliffs and fast-flowing water would have presented a serious obstacle. As centuries passed, the crossing evolved. A second bridge was built above the original structure in 1753, reflecting the increasing movement of people through the area. By the beginning of the 20th century, yet another bridge was needed, and the uppermost bridge was completed in 1901. The result is unique. Few places in Britain can claim to have 3 bridges stacked one above another, each representing a different period of the site's history. The gorge itself has played an important role in shaping both the landscape and the stories attached to it. The rivers have cut deeply into the rock over thousands of years, creating the dramatic scenery visitors see today. Archaeologically, the site provides evidence not only of medieval construction, but also of the long relationship between people and the natural environment. Every bridge reflects changing needs, technologies and patterns of movement through the region. Yet while history explains how the bridges were built, folklore offers a very different answer. According to local tradition, an old woman once lost her cow. After searching for some time, she eventually discovered the animal standing on the opposite side of the gorge. The problem was that there was no safe way to reach it. Faced with what seemed an impossible situation, she was approached by the devil. The devil offered a bargain. He would build a bridge across the gorge in a single night. In return, he would claim the soul of the first living creature to cross it. Desperate to recover her cow, the woman agreed. By morning, a bridge spanned the chasm. The devil waited for his reward, expecting the woman herself to cross first. Instead, she threw a piece of bread across the bridge. Her dog immediately ran after it, becoming the first living creature to cross. Realizing he had been tricked, the devil flew into a rage. But the bargain had been fulfilled. The bridge remained, while the old woman returned home victorious. Versions of this story have been told for generations. Similar legends appear elsewhere in Britain and Europe, often attached to bridges built in places where construction seems almost impossible. Folklorists generally regard these tales as examples of a wider tradition rather than accounts of actual events. Nevertheless, the story became so firmly attached to the crossing that it eventually became known simply as Devil's Bridge. The legend might easily have remained little more than an entertaining tale, but over the years, other stories began to gather around the site. One local tradition speaks of a spectral black dog said to haunt the bridge after dark. Accounts vary considerably, and most survive only through folklore collections and local retellings. In these stories, the animal appears unexpectedly behind travellers crossing the bridge at night. Sometimes it follows instantly. In other versions, it is described as a sinister presence associated with danger or misfortune. The tale shares many similarities with black dog legends found throughout Britain. Across Wales, such creatures appear in folklore as supernatural hounds, said to roam lonely roads and dangerous places after dark. There is no evidence that such a creature exists, of course, but the story reflects a common theme in traditional beliefs. Dangerous landscapes often become associated with supernatural guardians or warnings, and few places would have seemed more hazardous to earlier travellers than a narrow bridge spanning a deep gorge. Not all reports connected with Devil's Bridge belong to folklore. Visitors over the years have occasionally described unusual experiences while exploring the paths around the falls. Some have reported hearing voices or sounds that seemed difficult to explain. Others have described a strong feeling of unease while descending into the gorge. Such experiences are difficult to assess. The geography of the site creates unusual acoustic effects. The constant noise of rushing water echoes from the rock walls, while changing weather conditions can alter the way sounds travel through the valley. What might seem mysterious in one moment may have a perfectly natural explanation in another. Nevertheless, these accounts continue to form part of the location's reputation. The landscape itself contributes greatly to that atmosphere. Even on a bright day, sections of the gorge remain in shadow. Water vapour drifts through the air. The roar of the falls drowns out distant sounds, creating an impression of isolation despite the presence of other visitors nearby. It is not difficult to see how stories might flourish in such surroundings. During the 19th century, the site became increasingly popular with tourists. Artists and writers visited the falls, drawn by the dramatic scenery. The arrival of improved transport links brought ever greater numbers of visitors, and what had once been a remote crossing became one of Wales's best-known attractions. Yet despite this transformation, the old stories endured. Perhaps that is because Devil's Bridge occupies an unusual space between history and folklore. The bridges themselves are real. The medieval origins of the crossing are real. The gorge, the waterfalls, and the centuries of human activity are all firmly rooted in the historical record. Alongside those facts sits a tale of a clever old woman, a bargain with the devil, and a black dog that walks the bridge after dark. Whether anyone believes these stories is ultimately a personal matter. What is certain is that they have become part of the identity of the place. They have survived because each generation found something worth repeating, whether as a warning, an explanation, or simply a good story told beside a fire. Standing above the gorge today, watching the water surge through the rocks below, it is easy to appreciate why those stories took hold. The landscape is dramatic, enough to inspire them, while the history provides a solid foundation beneath the legend. Together, they have created one of the most enduring pieces of folklore in Wales. Thank you for listening to Ghost Tales by the Fireside. If you enjoy these stories, you can support the podcast and get access to MP3s over on Buy Me a Coffee. They're £1.50 each, or free if you're a member. You can find everything at ghosttales.co.uk and follow on Facebook and Instagram at Ghost Tales Podcast.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? Alright. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.